So this session is being recorded for everyone's reference. And also there's an area on the right side of your screen for questions. Maybe somewhere here, yep, there. And somewhere along that side as well, there's also a chat box where we can all have good, kind, and fun interaction and exchange of ideas. So let's make the most out of that. So make sure you say hi and tell us where you are joining from. Just, you need to practice your typing skills. Why? For this reason. Yes, because we have some swags for grabs. So why don't we do that? Just key in, type in where you are joining from. Make sure you type really fast because later on, the first person to answer the question will be our winner. So that would be great. All right, we have someone from Sydney. Hey, Wilson. Hi, Neil. Neil is joining us from Wellington, of course. James, good to have you. And we also have someone from Canberra. Good to have you, Rob. Chris from Auckland. Hope everything is doing good in Auckland. Hey, Barry from Datacom New Zealand. Warren, Pete, both from Wellington as well. So we have a lot. Oh, we have someone from Brisbane. Hey, Brisbane, welcome. And AN said Wellington. All right, I think that's a good practice. So make sure you stay tuned until the end of the meetup for a chance to win some of these swags care of Red Hat. And also listen to our speakers as they will ask some question in exchange of the swags. Easy as Easy as that. Alrighty, off to the first part of the meetup. A quick recap of the things we heard from Ansible Fest 2020, which I found really cool. You will enjoy all the presentations in there, so make sure you check those out. But for now, over to Auckland. Over to you, Ash.
Cool, thanks, Joseph. So this is just a quick recap on some of the announcements from Ansible Fest 2020. So we really hope it gets you excited, and you should get excited. I mean, it is automation, right? Who doesn't like automation? So there's a three, announcement that I just want to bring up to your attention. The first one is Private Automation Hub. This basically complements the Automation Hub that we have available on cloud.redhat.com. But it is hosted by you, so you can deploy it on-premise or on any cloud. It basically provides a central location for internal automation teams to kind of share and manage Ansible content. And you can sync your certified content collection from Automation Hub to your own locally managed private instance. Next slide, please, Joseph. Cool. So the other one is around certified content that are supported by Red Hat. So we grew the certified content collection system, including new focus areas around Kubernetes and OpenShift, as well as VMware and Windows. So we have Red Hat OpenShift content collection for OpenShift cluster automation. We added Kubernetes core content collection for native Kubernetes automation as well, and VMware vSphere collection that many people have been asking for. So it includes more than 170 Ansible modules and plugins using VMware REST API. All of the content is obviously fully supported by Red Hat. Next slide, please, Joseph. Cool. And the other one, the last one is around OpenShift and Ansible integration with ACM. So if you're not familiar with ACM, it stands for Advanced Cluster Management. So it helps you manage multiple Kubernetes clusters. So things like multi-cluster lifecycle management, policy-driven governance, risk and compliance, and application lifecycle management. So the idea with this integration is to kind of expand into other components in the data center. So you'll be able to automate some of the tasks that are outside of your Kubernetes cluster. So we integrating cloud native and traditional infrastructure. So think of ACM as a bridge between Ansible and OpenShift. So customers are now using OpenShift to speed up application development, and they need help integrating all their systems within their data centers. So think networking, storage, even things like creating service tickets and so on. It is deployed via an operator, a resource operator basically is for ACM that will call an Ansible automation platform to execute tasks outside of the Kubernetes cluster. If you want to know more about all of these announcements, you can go to ansible.com/AnsibleFest. register, and you'll be able to see a recap or detailed videos around each of these announcements and more, obviously. That's it from my end, Joseph. I'll hand it back to you.
Oh, that's really awesome. Thanks very much, Ash, and hope everything will be okay there over in Auckland. Take care to our friends over there. And as Ash mentioned, good news is that Ansible Fest is all fun. It's all virtual, and you can still register, watch all the videos and keynotes on demand, just like watching Netflix from home. How cool is that? So sweet. On to our guest speakers. So may I invite Roxy and Sharon to join us on the screen?
Hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hey. Hello, Sharon. Hello, Roxy.
Hello.
So,
Hey, Joe.
yep, how's it going?
Oh,
And
yeah,
we are, yep,
it's good.
good to have you. We are really stoked to have both of you join us today. Speaking of girl power, I think you're probably the first women lady speakers in Ansible Meetup. How cool is that? So
That
we're
is
really stoked
very
to have
cool.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for inviting
so,
us. It's awesome.
yep, just a quick introduction. We have Roxy Rice. He's an infrastructure systems engineer at ANZ Bank New Zealand. And also Sharon Banks Shuker. She's the initiative's lead for network automation, also from ANZ Bank. They're both based in Wellington. And again, good afternoon, ladies. Welcome to Ansible Meetup. And first of all, thank you for your time. And for everyone, please do key in your questions and we'll ask them to our speakers at the end of their presentation. So with that, over to you, Roxy and Chas.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. So, hi, everyone. As they mentioned, I'm Roxy Rice. I am a network engineer with ANZ working around the network automation side of things. And this is Shaz, who is our project manager / scrum master. So Shaz takes care of us and makes sure that we have everything that we need to be able to do our automation. So who are we? So we call ourselves RoboOp, which is a name that we decided on during our time in the Open Innovation Lab. Currently, there are 9 of us that make up our small squad. So there's myself and Shaz. We have David Millman, who is a systems engineer in the network team. We have Samuel, who is our voice specialist. Tony Thistle, who is our product owner. We had James Blair, who was our automation lead, who has sadly left us now. We have Rafi, who is our designer. Manik, who is another systems engineer, and Kyle, who is a grad with the operational tools and support team. And together we work towards our goal of automating our network functions. Just dive into it. So today we're going to talk to you about sort of why we chose Ansible as our automation platform for network automation. We're going to talk to you a little bit about our time in the Open Innovation Lab. We're going to talk to you about our first piece of automation, which is around automated compliance testing for our network fleet. We're going to talk about the future use cases that we have coming forward and the things that we learned during our journey. Kick off with why we chose Ansible. So these are the 5 main reasons around why we chose Ansible over other tools that could have done the job as well. So it was scalable. So as a bank, quite a large bank, we have a very large fleet of network devices that support the underlying architecture of the bank. We found that Ansible was the most efficient, not effective in this. It had a lot of pre-written modules that were very specific to network automation. And the most important thing was that it was vendor agnostic. So we could use it with all of the different vendors that make up our fleet as opposed to just one. So jumping into our time at the Open Innovation Lab. So this was us going into the Open Innovation Lab. As you can see, we're all sort of standing there very rigid, looking all very professional. And
wondering what's about to happen to us in our 6-week journey.
yeah, so the Open Innovation Lab, we actually had no idea what to expect, really. We were just told that we were going to be doing this thing for 6 weeks. But so our vision going forward was to move from ticket handling to more exciting, larger pieces of work. And our 1-year goal is to automate and provide self-service for 30% of the current network services. So the reason that we went into the Open Innovation Lab was to try and transform networks from a waterfall model ops mindset into sort of a DevOps mindset and being able to work with more agile practices. During the Open Innovation Lab, we managed to develop and mature our coding practices around using Git, the use of Ansible Tower. We learnt, well, for some of us actually who had never ever coded before, we actually learnt some coding. We learned how to use YAML, which was really great. And we did it all while being supported by a really cohesive team from Red Hat, which was great. And we put together our first end-to-end piece of automation, which was around automating DNS tickets. Very cool. During the Innovation Lab, we did weekly sprints. We learned about peer coding, which was, for me, it was very difficult. So I like to code in the corner, you know. I'm old school development. I like to sit by myself in a dark room and type away. And when they brought up peer coding, I resisted a little bit, and Sharon had to sort of pull me back in line. But I think for me, embracing it was the best thing I've ever done. I've learned from the people that I work with. I am teaching other people, which is really great. So peer coding was a big part of it. We learned planning. So beforehand, we were sort of, you know, just get into it, no real planning behind what we were doing. So now we work together as a cohesive unit. We learned about our sprint reviews and estimating the work that needed to be done. We did a lot of design, so architecture alignment. And yeah, so we learned Ansible, so we learned, you know, job templates, workflows, external playbooks. So I'd never really stored anything up in Git and pulled it every time I wanted to use it. So that was very interesting for me. And our Ansible roles and structures. So we're going to show you a video that was taken in our 3rd week of the Open Innovation Lab. And this sort of sums up a week in the life of what we were doing.
Hi, Roxy. Is the video supposed to have a sound as well?
Sorry,
Is the video supposed to have a sound at the background?
can you not hear the sound?
No, we can't. Is it playing
Oh,
from your
that's
end?
not good. Yes, it is.
Oh, I can hear it. Sorry, guys. It does have a music track along with it. I'm not sure why that's not working.
I think we just started out later. Maybe we can replay it with the sound. Just continue playing for now. I think, Roxy. Thanks for that.
Sorry, everyone.
Cool. And so this is us at the end of our Open Innovation Lab. As you can see, we're no longer all standing up all straight and standing up all straight and rigid and very professional. We sort of bonded into a very cohesive unit during this time. And it was actually very sad to see the Red Hat people go. It was an adjustment to not working with them anymore. But yes, so that was our time in New Zealand's first Open Innovation Lab.
And you can see that I was obviously very excited and almost wanted to leave with Red Hat as I'm completely dressed from head to toe like someone that works there. Completely coincidental, but hey.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Okay, so moving on, I'm going to talk you through sort of how our compliance piece came to be. So it all started with the idea. So the idea came from Samuel, our voice engineer, who wanted to find a way that we could scan our devices before they went into production to make sure that the configuration on them was correct. It was up to standard, so that we weren't having to deal with it throughout the month. And so he came to me and he asked me about this, which led on to my interesting thought. So the process that we currently use for compliance can be summed up as the following. So we review the report that gets given to us by our security operations. So this is what our current report, well, this is an older report, but what it looks like when it comes to us. You can see it's just a spreadsheet. It's very long, so you can't really get a view of all of the information at once. You sort of have to scroll and come back and forward, and it's not the easiest spreadsheet to work with. So then we have to connect to Ionix. Now, our tool that we use to do this is hosted out of Australia. So for me, that means connecting to Australia. It means it takes quite a bit of time. It's not a very particularly fast application. So once I've connected, then I have to go and locate the audit trail for the device that's had a failure. So that means, as you can see, there's a nice long list of devices here. So I have to go through and find the one that I'm looking for before opening up its audit trails, finding the correct one, and then going through and looking at all of the tests that it did, finding the one that was not compliant, and then going in and finding the part of that test that failed. So once I've done that, then I can find the reason for the failure. So at the moment, we're given a pattern that was searched for and a pattern that matched. And so to get what's missing, I have to compare the two of them together to see where the difference is, which isn't always a foolproof operation. I can miss things. And then once I've done that, then I can raise a change and fix the non-compliances. So all in all, the problem that we're seeing now is that each year to do the AVOCEN ISCC requires a total of 72 of my hours, or a network engineer's hours, and a security operations analyst hours in order to go through and find out and report on the status of our devices. This works out to be roughly about 6 hours a month that 2 people are spending working on this. We also do it for Cisco, which requires each year a total of 330 hours of an engineer's time, which works out to be 27.5 hours a month. Putting those together works out to be 33.5 total hours every month that an engineer is having to spend working on this. So from this sort of information, we worked out a plan. So we decided on this how we would go about looking into this. Obviously, we decided that we would use Ansible to do this. And thankfully for us, Ansible's got lots of pre-written modules that were really helpful in pulling out the information that we required. So from our side, it was really about the comparison and how we wanted to output those results. And so I started working on this at lunchtime, which it became my hobby. So every lunchtime I would sit there and just code and research and learn a little bit extra until it started to take the rough form of something that might work. It started with Rafi, our designer, getting involved. So he started spending his lunch break with me as well. And we had 2 devices that were what we call sandpit devices that we can do anything that we want to. They're not technically connected to the network. And so we started to test our code on these, and every time that we tested, we would go through an iteration loop and we would refine it. And then we started to catch the attention of management. And I cannot upplay enough the importance of that support from management. And it wasn't just the support, it was the interest that they took. So it's an incredible feeling to have your boss's boss and your boss's boss's boss just coming down to see how it's going and, what are you working on now, and is there anything that you need from me? That sort of stuff. It gives you an incredible confidence boost in being able to do this sort of thing, especially having it be something that you don't really know that much about. So obviously I know a lot about compliance, but at this point I knew next to nothing about Ansible. So it was just me trolling Ansible websites and, learning new little tidbits. And then, once we got management support, then we went through for our transition through OAT, which is, went very well to our production. And instead of going through all of those steps that we went through before, this is what we see as our output for Go Live. As you can see, it's a very nice, simple little web page that has the device names, the checks, and whether it passed or failed. It's all paginated, so it makes it a lot easier for the network engineer or security operations analyst to see what's happening with the network. We also made them nice and bright red, so it sort of jumps out at you. And then this is the other part that we added, which I am very happy about. So essentially it gives you the name of the device, the check that it failed, and the exact line of configuration that it's missing. So there's no longer a need for the user to compare these things. Nothing sort of gets left behind and missed out. And it's, even if it wasn't a network engineer, you could copy and paste this configuration into the device and it would fix it. So we went from a total of 33.5 hours a month, and we reduced that down to a total of 25 minutes per month that's being spent on compliance, which saves us a total of 401.5 hours a year, which is an incredible saving. And that's time that an engineer can spend working on more interesting work, so project work, new innovations, or in my case, it's time that I can spend working on Ansible instead of doing this sort of thing. Very cool. So next for compliance, we would like to add, we're planning on adding an automated remediation. So across all of our devices currently, it is a very manual process. And so the idea is that it does the check. If it sees a failure, then automatically go out and fix it so that a network engineer no longer needs to be involved in the process at all. So we're hoping to push that out very shortly. And compliance checking across the bank's corporate Wi-Fi is another thing that we'd like to reutilize our code to do, as well as our load balancers.
So excited.
Yes. So I'll let you talk to this bit.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, some quick wins and things that we've learned on this amazing journey from lab to where we are today. Oh, sorry, no, wrong slide. We can go back to that one. Oh, okay. So yeah, lots of wins and things that we've learned on this awesome journey. A couple of those we've just noted here. Obviously celebrating all the wins, big and small. It's something that the Red Hat team taught us to do. Quite often lots of little things happen, steps, progression to that big goal at the end. And they taught us how to really embrace that and celebrate that. And that brought a great morale to the team and a sense of achievement, and sort of gave us the motivation to carry forth. Obviously, never be afraid to fail. In this environment, you know, it was completely new and foreign to us, learning all kinds of new technology and agile practices. And so you really had to let your barriers down and just fail forward. And with a great team and lots of support, so that served us really well in getting us to where we are today, especially around the compliance piece. Don't assume, ask. So we had a few instances where, you know, we had some heated, tough days in the labs. They call it storming and forming, and there definitely was some storming. You know, there's this new exciting thing happened, and some people don't want to know about it, and some people do, and we're all just learning. So yeah, we really learned to ask, you know, instead of just assuming that someone doesn't want to do something, they're being difficult, they just may not actually understand and are just too shy to ask for help. So breaking down those communication barriers. Peering for the win. So Roxy touched on this a little bit. It was something introduced to us in the lab. It has many, many benefits. You know, just with knowledge sharing, quite often you'll learn a different way of doing things. It's a great way to form relationships and deeper, more meaningful connections with your colleagues as well, and a brilliant tool for mentoring. It started by the guys that were doing primarily the coding in the lab using this, and one of the Red Hatters, Venus and myself, decided that we would actually do this across all of the roles, even the admin support roles. So, you know, when Venus was making these beautiful videos, you know, we would team up together, and it just really made those things that were just a little bit hard that much better, and just, yeah, so great for sharing and learning. The hard stuff can be fun stuff. I probably don't need to elaborate on that, but there was some really hard stuff, especially around architecture and design, and getting Ansible Tower into production in the bank. As you know, in a big enterprise, sometimes instating something new can be very challenging, and you'll always get a bit of reluctance, and there'll be things that you don't know, but that was difficult, but it was really fun as well, and got us to where we are today. Collaboration. So the lab was quite isolated. We were a small team, and primarily we were there to focus on this task, but we actually opened the doors and invited a lot of these teams in to let them know what we were doing, and we became very transparent, and that has served us really well outside of the lab. So you know, sometimes you're like, oh, it's my project or it's my thing and we don't need to share, just get on with it. But yeah, changing the attitude really helped us a lot. Challenge ideas and not people, pretty common one, but something that we experienced and dealt with. You know, when you're designing and putting together how you're going to do this thing, there's a lot of challenges. People have set opinions and past experiences, so you know, when people are defensive and things like that. So we learned to just challenge the ideas and not the people. Don't make it personal, and, you know, leave it at the door. And coding isn't just for devs or engineers, it's for everybody. And even me, I was able to get my hands on and code some integration and spam managers through Slack and do all kinds of cool stuff. So it's been really good. People that have had no coding experience have come up to us and showed interest and talked to us about how we've learned, and yeah, it's been really awesome. So yeah, those are really our key learnings and wins, with many more to come.
Yes, there will be. So next on our automation backlog, we're going to be, so we've already started targeting DNS provisioning, so adding, deleting and editing the DNS entries throughout the bank. This will allow people to do it themselves, which will save us a lot of time. Firewall management, so adding and disabling our firewall rules. We want to start around farm management on the load balancers. Voice platforms are coming up with some really interesting automation stuff there as well, which is very cool. Alert suppression for our service desk, so being able to suppress the incident alerting when they know something else is starting to go on, planned work is going on. Which would be great. And then device onboarding and offboarding, so end-to-end provisioning of devices, so no longer having to go and manually add config to a device. So this will help us with security and always having the same config put onto the boxes, as well as VLAN provisioning. So these are all things that we're hoping to work on over the next period. I don't know how long that period will be, but
sort of our backlog for the next financial year. Have other ideas boards as well for outside of the team and other lots of little interesting, tricky things that we'd like to try.
Yeah. So that's what we have for you today. So thank you very much for coming and listening to our story.
Yeah, huge thanks to the Red Hat team for the opportunity. Well done, Roxy. You were awesome. Very proud of you. And hi to the ANZ team, and thank you everyone for jumping on to support us and hear our story. It's much appreciated.
Thanks for that.
Back to you, Jeff.
Roxy, are you able to unshare for now, please?
Yes.
No, Roxy and Shaz, the pleasure is really ours. Not just for the Red Hat team, but I'm pretty sure for everyone listening, may it be on their desk or at home, there's really a lot of good things to take on your presentation, especially the learnings. Because I think a lot of organizations are having the same struggle. And you have big words there: collaboration, openness, sharing ideas, and all that. That's really a lot of things to take from your presentation. So the pleasure is ours. Again, thank you very much. Now on to our Q&A. So, yep. I think one of the things that you touched on is putting things outside of your initial team, right? So how are you now sharing and advocating not just to your team, but probably to the wider ANZ Bank organization, the things that you learn? Because as I said, there's a lot in there, and the bank will definitely benefit a lot from those. How are you advocating those now?
Yep. So going forward, we are wanting to set up some sort of brown paper bag lunchtime things to get people from outside of our squad to come in, and we can teach them, some sort of coding and agile practices that we've learned, and just really get them involved. We're pulling people in from the networks team who are primarily operations people, and we're trying to get them to do sort of what we're calling a rotation with us, so that, we sort of throw them in the deep end and get them really focusing on how we can automate these things and how they can sort of bring their expertise to what we're doing. Yeah.
And it sounds really cool.
We have a grad that's going to come in and join the team as well. So that's something really exciting. And I think just by having a good attitude and just kind of being infectious, we send out fortnightly comms, we let everybody know what we're doing, whether they are interested or not, it's there. So we have a fairly open door policy, and we like to have fun, and Roxy's amazing. She's always willing to listen and to teach. So yeah, that definitely helps attract good people who are interested in what we're doing.
Oh, that's really lovely. Any question from you, Michael?
Yeah, so actually, my question is related to culture, and how does I'm going to ask really, how does the Red Hat Open Innovation Lab helps you transform from where you are right now and from the culture before? Understanding the journey of that transformation will be really interesting, coming from you guys who has a real life experience.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, one thing does pop into mind. I was having a meeting with my boss a few weeks ago, and he said to me that since the Open Innovation Lab, I've really come out of my shell. So I'm a very anxious and very quiet and very antisocial person, or at least I was before the lab. Now I'm not. Before the lab, I wouldn't have even thought of coming on here and doing something like this. I would have been, in the corner in a ball, huddled up in a shivering mass of anxiety. So for me, moving towards being more open and receptive to people, I suppose, and working with other people, just coming out of my shell, it's been, the Open Innovation Lab was instrumental to that.
Yeah, and from my side, it's just yeah, it's just such an amazing experience. The one key thing is it's a really safe place. So we talked about, you know, being able to fail. So when we were learning these agile practices, you know, they weren't always perfect, or we didn't know what to do, and it just became more natural, more holistic, you know, and we were just in a safe place where we could just work out the kinks, and then, you know, we were able to come back and demonstrate that even, you know, as a more operational based team, that you can still do those practices and you can adapt them to suit your team and the needs of those around you. And it was just a heck of a lot of fun. Like, it was just a great time. Yep, it's just, I could not recommend it enough. Yep, brilliant. Definitely a career highlight for me.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I kind of have a similar experience, and I have to agree to some of your points. Really great. I'll call in Ash for some of the questions that our attendees posted on the Q&A box, if that's all right, Ash.
Sure. There's there's a question from Alex. So the question is, with time or consistency benefits like that, are you now considering Ansible, a good API, structured data support as part of your procurement process as a core requirement?
I'm not 100% on what the question is there. Did you say procurement in Ansible?
Yeah, and then I think what he meant by it is, do you kind of look at integration into or ease of integration, you know, especially using API into the infrastructure, I guess, that you're looking at?
And I would think that the question is related to an automation mindset first. Can it fit into something that we are trying to automate? So APIs and yep.
In that case, yeah, I would say that that's definitely a factor nowadays. As we use Ansible to control more and more of our systems, then it does become a priority for the new systems that we're putting in to be able to integrate properly with Ansible.
Right.
We don't want to have to go out and get another automation tool. That was the idea around Ansible being vendor agnostic. Things, things are connectable to Ansible very easily, which is good.
I think you got it right there. The keyword is vendor agnostic. It can pretty much play with a lot of things. We have another question, Ash. Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Cool. So the second question is, in typical software automation, we have the luxury of executing our automation in dev, QA, and user acceptance environment before pushing to production. In a network automation, which is more hardware related, how are you planning to achieve testing before making a change in production?
Yeah. So we have what we call the SAMPIT, which is a group of, some hardware that we have that mirrors what we have in production, but is not used for anything but our testing. And so we're able to write our code and test it on those sorts of devices first before progressing it. We also have an OAT version of Ansible Tower, which is what you would call QA, I suppose, or dev.
Yeah.
And so all of our code gets run through that first on what we call our non-production devices. And then only once it passes that testing and it gets signed off on by our product owner do we then move it into production.
I think that's a very good approach.
And in some cases, we have been able to get some identified production devices to test on as well, which isn't possible for everything, but in the cases that it is, that's just also an extra verification step that we're able to do.
So I guess it's more really on putting a governance on how to automate stuff. And I think that's the key in the adoption. You don't want to do it like a cowboy or a ninja. You need to, while you're automating, you need to put governance and breaks as well, especially
and I think on
production.
On top of that, Michael, I think there's an overall strategy, not just, bits and pieces over here, but it's an overall strategy for them. They have SAMPIT and all that. So, I think we have another question for Alex. Ash?
Yeah, so Alex is asking, what kind of time frame did these practice changes or productionization occur? I guess I don't know if you want to give like a typical example maybe.
For our compliance stuff, we were in dev and sandpit for, I would say, like months. That's where we sat for quite some time while we were doing all the developing.
Yep.
And then I think we spent about a month in OAT, working out, the small kinks and that sort of stuff before we then started to transition into production.
Does
And
that
I
all
think
up?
part of that
journey
as well
was-
is learning.
Yes.
Yeah, that was 4 to 5 months, and then the AvoScent pretty much took a couple of weeks, and that was released straight away. That's in production now, and we're already well underway with DNS as well. So, yeah, good.
And I noticed there's really a lot of very good use cases that you mentioned on your backlog, and I think a lot of organizations are also needing those. I would think same use case for That's really good.
So my boss, our product owner Tony, has now got an ideas board where anybody from the bank, anybody can walk up with a sticky note. We've also digitalized it and just stick a sticky note on the board of something that they think should be put on our backlog.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. That's really
And
good
so
way of
we're
doing
getting
it.
some really good ideas from that, which is very
it's
cool
really
from
cool.
from different perspectives than just a network engineer. So
Actually, on that note, can you speak more about that? Because I think one of the fears that probably sysadmins like me before are thinking is that, I'm automating my entire job. What's next for me? Because you mentioned that I was just a Unix admin before. You're now you're just a network admin, but now you happen to learn more. Can you help talk through us on that, Roxy?
Yep. So the idea of automating myself out of a job is really quite funny to me. I think for me, learning to automate these things for other people within the bank, it just means that they get to focus on more exciting work. They don't have to do these repetitive tasks again and again, which means that they can get more into the innovation side of things. And I think that's something that, we all enjoy. We don't all want to be stuck there toiling through, manual, tedious work. We all want to be doing those exciting things like I'm doing now. So this Ansible stuff is very exciting to me.
It is.
And the more that I automate, the more that the people in my team or the people around me that do these things that I'm automating, they can get onto things that really excite them as well.
Yep. Michael, we have a really good question from James, and I think you would probably be the best person to ask this to Roxy and Sharon.
You're on mute, Michael.
You're on mute. Michael, you're on mute.
Yay, it's not me on mute for a change.
Okay, thanks for reminding me. But I was already finished reading it when I saw that I am on mute. Anyway, so James' question is, do you guys have a plan to actually put the stuff that you created upstream and contribute it to open source?
Yes. So with the AvoScent devices, there was not a pre-written Ansible module for being able to connect to them and pull their configuration. And so me and our designer Rafi got together and started working through writing our own module. And the end game for that, once we've sort of refined it a bit and made it all something that I would be happy to go onto open source, is to actually re-upload it back to the Ansible project.
Oh, wow. I'm very happy to hear that. And I think
we're very excited
awesome.
to contribute to the community.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of people here is going to, I would say, wait for that contribution upstream. And that will also encourage more people to look at what you did and, improve and, make some suggestion. Or maybe creating a roadmap of what's next for that kind of modules that you created. That's awesome. I'm excited myself right now.
That's why I wanted to give you the privilege to ask the question because I know you're an open source advocate after all. So probably one last question from me. One of the photos that I saw was the before. You were all rigid and all that, and then after that you were just happy and all, just very loose and enjoying every bit of your work. Can you talk us through about that and also celebrating your small and big successes?
Yeah, so we definitely all started out very rigid. So there were people in there that I had never even met before. So James, who just asked that question, was our automation lead, and until the Open Innovation Lab, I'd never actually met him, which was a bit different. And it took us a while, sort of, to come together and really get along, I suppose. But yeah, we started doing sort of weekly lunches and outings and stuff to really bond together as a group. And so, yeah, that's sort of how we achieved being all happy and stuff. We really bonded in there. Yeah, Shaz, you can talk more.
I think we just we listened to each other, and we built a relationship with Red Hat as well. These guys have traveled around the world in labs, and for us, this was just something new. What it's like when someone comes in and wants to teach you something new. It's both exciting and terrifying. And when the lab first started, obviously there was a lot of interest and lots of senior management and other stakeholders that we hadn't met coming in, so you feel a little bit like you're under the microscope. But as we sort of transitioned past that week 3, it kind of flipped, and then we just started owning it. We'd got through that storming and forming phase, and we were just this tight-knit collaborative team. It was like nothing, there was just nothing that we couldn't tackle together. And, we did fun stuff. We played games. We changed our stand-ups to make them a little bit more personal. So each person started with how they're feeling. Some people shared more than others, but, someone was tired or had a sick child or was excited about something or a bit stressed that day. It's just a really good way to share and not make assumptions and sort of we knew that those people may need more support that day and such. So yeah, it was really sad when the lab ended. We were all emotional and drained, but super excited. And I think that photo by the Christmas tree was just, when we just done our stakeholder demo of our first end-to-end automation code. So we're very excited. Yeah.
Yes.
Sweet. You mentioned storming and forming. This is probably my last question, by the way. What's your biggest takeaway from this, both challenge-wise and success-wise? What's the biggest challenge that you felt you've overcome because of this? I know, just a last question.
What was your biggest challenge?
And takeaway, practically, that you've grown out of it.
Like I said, my biggest takeaway from this was, more self-confidence and coming out of my shell. It wasn't even a technical thing, I mean, it's great that
speaking in front of us, Roxy.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's great that I can code and not code and stuff because I'm a developer. That's what I've always done before I was a network engineer. Those who know me know that my qualification is actually in development. I joined the networks team and knew nothing about networking. I couldn't even configure my home router. So, but yeah, for me, it was, really learning just to come out of my shell and work with other people.
How about Chaz?
I think the biggest thing I took away is empowerment. So now we can come back and we can empower other teams. A lot, when infrastructure sort of transitions to agile, it's a very, you must do this and you must do this. And there are some very basic things like stand-ups that, we know how to do, but we don't understand how to do them best for us and for the teams that we're working in. So, we're not afraid to speak up now and change a way that something is done or let the team form the way in which they prefer to do it. So it's been a huge confidence boost, and
I think those are
we just feel really empowered. Yeah.
Cool. 2 big words: confidence and empowerment. Women empowerment. Go girls, girl power.
Girl power.
And of course,
Girl power.
we want to end on a high note, right? And hey everyone, did you know that it's actually Roxy's birthday tomorrow and Sharon's birthday on Monday? So it's going to be a huge celebration for them. But instead of us giving them gifts, it's Roxy and Shaz is going to be throwing away the swags. So Roxy and Shaz will be asking one question, and the first person to answer it correctly will be receiving the swags. So So who wants to go first? Happy birthday, Roxy. Happy birthday, Sharon. Who wants to go first?
Happy birthday.
Your
So-
birthday's first. You go first.
So my one's the slightly harder of the first two questions. So my question is, during our presentation, we walked you through our first automation piece into compliance. So my question is, what vendor were we automating the compliance checking for?
Looks like
Okay.
it's a very hard question, Roxy.
It is a hard question. Well, kinda.
Eonox. There's an answer.
No.
Eonox, is that right?
Here we go.
Yay!
David
Let's go.
Millman.
Dave.
David
I
Millman,
called it
you got
earlier.
it.
Like, it's going to be Dave.
Hey, David, please stay on the call later on, and we will contact you from here. All right, on to the second question, Sharon.
Okay, cool. Well, you're probably going to remember this, but names, first and last, of us presenters and our job titles. Go.
Should be correct spelling.
That's right.
The name and their roles of our two
Yeah,
lady
our names
speakers.
and roles. Yeah.
This question is actually harder, Roxy.
Is it?
Full name, please. Sadna. Should be full name. And
Good start, calling it Rice.
the correct role, by the way.
There we
Yep.
go.
What's the next
Oh,
one?
What's the next one? That's one down.
Bo's halfway there.
Go, Bo, you can do it.
Oh, well done, Alex.
Oh, well done.
I think Alex has it, right?
I think Alex has it, yes.
Awesome. You deserve it, Alex. Thanks for your questions, by the way. That's really good. Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Again,
Good try, Bo. Good try.
for Bo, Alex, and who else? Yeah,
Dave.
David.
you guys can send me an email, and then we'll arrange the swags for you. But we're generous as well. So Blair has asked the question, which make some of that module become upstream. So
I think that
I'll
deserves
give Blair
the
one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Special
Okay.
prize.
Give James a prize. We like James.
Now again, thanks everyone for attending, and of course, again, the pleasure is ours, Roxy and Sharon. We really learned a lot from you. At least me, I know everyone learned a lot from your experience, and hopefully they will take something to their work and implement something similar, and also that cultural change, that mindset change, that paradigm shift that we all need.
Awesome.
So again, thank you
so
very
much.
much. Yep. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Great to have you. And I hope you inspire other Ansible users as well to share their experience to the Ansible Meetup. And we're very happy. We're going to be very happy to share those experiences as well. So please do send us a message if you want to present or if you want to talk about something on the Ansible Meetup. So again,
All right.
Roxy, Sharon, thank you so much. Everyone, have a great day. Be safe. And yeah, have a good day,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Have a lovely weekend.
Thanks so
Bye.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye.